success with Section 8, success with Section 8. I'm going to give you some tips and advice, suggestions from experience. Okay, this is not from theory or something I read in a Section 8 manual. This is from experience, and I just want to help you out today because I know a lot of people could be confused with dealing with Section 8. They may not understand the process, how it works, and there's a lot of misconceptions. So I'll talk about that all here today in this brief video, and a little bit about myself. I'm Thelonious C. Jones, TheloniousCJones.com. Look in the link below. I'm the author of The Landlord Blueprint, which I turned into a course to help other landlords and property owners and investors. I've been investing since I was 23 in 2009. Have a portfolio of rental properties here in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been selling some over the last about 12 months, but at the peak of our portfolio, I had over 25 tenants, and 80% of that portfolio was on the Atlanta Housing Section 8 program. So I have a lot of experience with dealing with Section 8 and the Atlanta Housing Authority, also known as the voucher program. That's also another way to refer to it. So I just want to give you some tips today on that to help you out. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you. So the first thing when you're dealing with Section 8, I need you to do, first step, and please take notes on this video because I'm going to give you guys some key information that took me a lot of time, money, and headache to learn. So I want to help you out. So kind of, if you can, take notes on this segment. So the first thing you need to do is you must get information and you must get the education, okay? And I don't mean, when I say this, the first step, I do not mean going to your auntie that has a property on Section 8 or rented on Section 8 20 years ago. I'm not talking about going to other landlords. I'm not talking about getting on a blog and asking people questions about the local Section 8. I'm not talking about even contacting me or leaving a comment below asking me about Section 8. I'm not talking about that when I talk about information and education. I'm talking about going to the source. That's what I'm talking about. And the source is the Housing Authority. So you need to go to the source. Stop asking everybody and their mama about Section 8 and this and that. Go call the hell out. Where do you want to rent at? Call the Housing Authority in that county or that city or that area. Call them and get information from them and figure out what are the requirements for you to be a landlord or to rent your property on Section 8, on the housing voucher program. How do you do it? You need to call them. Get something in writing, That's the first step you must do, okay? So do the research, contact the Housing Authority. Make the call, send the email, look at the website. I could tell you everything I know about Atlanta Housing Authority because I've worked with them for almost 7 years now, since 2010. But guess what? Atlanta Housing Authority has a mandatory landlord briefing that you must go to rent your property on Section 8. So regardless of what I tell you, regardless of what advice I give you, you need to go to the source because it's always changing, it's always evolving, and the requirements may have been different when I got in. So the first step, go to the source, make the call, send the email, whatever you got to do to get the information from the Housing Authority. Okay, number two, once you have the information from the Housing Authority, number two is now, because you have the right information, and you can somewhat deviate wrong information or opinion from fact, okay? Now you can go network with other landlords that have properties on, that currently have properties renting on the Section 8 program, the housing voucher program. Go network with them, okay? Call property managers up that are renting in the Housing Authority program in your area. Talk to them, see what they say, get some advice from them, see if maybe they know the rent in the area or whatever. Just get some tips and advice from them once you have the information from the source. That's the source. So that's step number two. Just network with people. You know what I mean? But I need you to get base information before you network with people from the source, okay? So that may be going RIA meetings. That may be networking on the computer, Meetup, blogs, private communities. I don't know, but you can try to start networking a little bit with individuals and ask them about their experiences, about inspections, about rent determinations, raising the rent, their experience raising the rent, raising their experience dealing with tenants, their experience dealing with the Housing Authority, the biggest headaches they have with dealing with Section. Ask them all those type of questions. Just see their feedback and advice. You know what I mean? It may not be 100% true, but at least you can hear it and try to deviate the truth from the non-truth, And always understand, people that have a lot of headache and problems, there's something that they don't know. So I'm saying you may want to talk to them to understand the headaches and problems they have, because there's something that they don't know. And how do you get that little piece so you don't deal with those headaches? You know what I mean? So number three, I'm sorry. Number three is the process. I want to briefly talk about the process and how the basic general process of Section 8 works. Now, it may be different everywhere, but this is just a general process. But this is why step number one is so important, because I'm just giving you general information that I don't know if it's 100% true in your area. So the first thing you've got to do is, like we said, we contact them. And then say you contact the Section 8, then you put your property, you know what the requirements are, you know your responsibilities as a landlord, as a property owner, what you must do, okay? So now you put your property up for rent, so people start to call you, okay? So now people call you, and most of the time people will say, hey man, do you take Section 8? Or, hey, I have a 3-bedroom voucher and I see you have a 3-bedroom house. So basically you need to match the tenant, the Section 8 tenant, the Section 8 resident participant is giving a voucher from the housing authority, and that voucher is basically saying, hey, well, you can rent a 3-bedroom house because you got 2 kids and you need three bedrooms, or whatever it is. Or, hey, you're single, or you got 1 kid, so all you need is a 2-bedroom house or 1-bedroom. I don't know. It just depends on what the case is. So they'll give them the voucher, and the voucher is always tied to bedrooms, and that bedroom has to match your property. So if they have a 2-bedroom voucher, you need to have a 2-bedroom property. So they'll call you and they basically say, oh, I have a voucher for a 3-bedroom property. So then you move forward, okay, come look at the property. So you show the property, they like it, and they want to, move in. So now you need to move forward with the RTA, the request for tenancy approval. At least that's what it's called here in Atlanta. But that's the initial paperwork you need to get from the resident, because the housing authority gives the participant the documentation. Once they like your place, they'll give you that documentation. You guys sign it together, and then it has to be submitted to the housing authority for processing, okay? So then go through the process. At this point, you still need to be doing your background check, credit check, criminal check on the tenant to make sure that they check out. Do not trust Section 8 to give you the best tenant in your rental property. Okay, so that make sure you're doing your background check. And if you need more information on that, go to landlordblueprint.com. The link is in the description below, and I tell you how you can do that and find a good tenant and make sure everything checks out. Credit, no evictions, not a whole bunch of repos up on there. You know what I mean? Yeah, all those things. You got to be looking for that criminal check, whatever you're looking for on that, sex offenders, whatever the case may be. So make sure you do that. So you submit the RTA or the paperwork to Section 8. Bam, we're good to go. They say, okay, let's move forward. Then you have your inspection. So the inspector will come out, inspect the house, and say, hey, man, you got to fix this or do this, or, hey, everything's great. I have yet to have one of those yet, but, so they'll come out, you got to fix this. So you got to think about it. I've had times where I have to put $1,000 into the property at inspection to make it pass. So you got to really think about it. That's what I'm saying. You got to go to the source and figure out. That's why number one, go to the source, figure out the information of what you need and what they want to see at inspection, because your house may not even meet what they want to see in inspection. You see what I'm saying? So you could do the inspection, make the repairs, or if you don't have any repairs, you don't make the repairs, you pass inspection. Then usually after inspection, the housing authority will now give you a rent determination and let you know how much rent they will pay you for that property. Okay, and how much the tenant will pay. So if the tenant has to pay a portion of the rent, they'll tell you how much they pay, and they'll tell you how much the housing authority pays every month. So then you get your rent determination. Then from there, it's downhill from there. You just move the tenant in. You need to do your walkthrough. Have your move-in inspection checklist and all that stuff. All that's included in Landlord Blueprint. So if you need, I have over 50 documents and forms, rental documents and forms on that platform. So if you need those, go check them out. And they're in Word documents, so you can edit them how you please. I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. And that's pretty much it. You sign a lease agreement. You need to still have a lease agreement with your tenant, have policies, have guidelines, and make them understand, how your property operates. Don't be a hobby investor. And that's it. From there, it's pretty downhill. You know what I mean? And the fourth thing, I just want to talk on a couple misconceptions of Section 8 tenants that people have, that they'll trash your property. Yeah, they'll trash your property. Anybody will trash your property if you don't set guidelines, policies, and you don't do inspections to make sure your house is not trashed. I mean, that's simple. You saw all those people making videos about Section 8 tenant trash my house. No, you're not responsible enough to do inspections on your house and make sure that your house is in good condition. You know, most of those people are the people that think they can just get free money from the government every month. That's the biggest myth. Nothing's free, and that's what I'm saying. The inspection. I've had one inspection. I had to spend like $700-800 to pass it. You know, so it's the way it is. 1 month's rent. One time I put a roof on the house so it could pass inspection. Then they didn't even give me a good rent determination, so I didn't even end up renting. So I lost $3,000. Well, I didn't lose it, but you know, I lost it in that retrospect. So you got to understand, you know, the myths, you know what I mean, of Section 8. That the tenants trash your house, that the tenants sit at the house all day. Of all my tenants that I had on the peak of my portfolio, 80% of my tenants that were on the Section 8 program, 80% of them went to work every day. So all that sitting at home stuff, I don't do it. Most of my Section 8 tenants, when I do my background check, I look for things like that. Are they working? You know what I mean? So you know, you got to look at, you know, look at the application and look at what the situation is and make the best decision from there. Of course, you can't redline or discriminate, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, there's people on Section 8 that go to work every day. There's people on Section 8 that keep their house immaculate. My cousin's on Section 8. Her house is freaking cleaner than mine. So just the misconception, you need to just blow it out the wind. You know what I mean? That's the other reason why step number 2 is just talk to some investors. Maybe ask them to show you pictures of their properties on Section 8. You know what I mean? So that's just some of the things I want to break down, because there's a lot of myths. I mean, Section 8, I've had more problems out of non-Section 8 tenants than I've had out of Section 8 tenants. So I don't know. Everybody's experience is different. I mean, but I think if you're really actively managing your properties and you're not a victim and you're not reactive, you're proactive, and you want to be a good landlord and you want to provide good services but be stern in your policies, procedures, and guidelines, you can have great relationships and long-term tenants on Section 8 that'll take care of your property. I've had literally tenants that keep their house so clean, I take off my shoes when I go over there. So clean on Section 8. So think about these things. Thelonious C. Jones. If you want to set up a free 20-minute consultation, also look in the link below. Check out Landlord Blueprint. That is my platform that breaks all this down of renting property, operating property, you know, and just understanding what you need to do to get the most out of your property and be a decent landlord and have policies, procedures, and cut out the headaches, cut out the spending the frivolous money on BS because you don't know what you're doing or what your responsibilities are as a landlord, or you don't have the right guidelines. So I just want to give you this brief video on Section 8. Once again, let me wrap this up. Number 1, education, information, go to the source. Number 2, network. Okay, network with other people that are actively doing it. And I did it 10, 15, 20 years ago. Number 3 is the process. I explained the whole process. So rewind it if you need to go through that again. Number 4 is the misconceptions, because there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to Section 8. So Thelonious C. Jones, if you want to have a free 20-minute consultation, like I said, just go click on the link below. Let's set it up. We can talk more in depth about Section 8 and how I can help you. And that's what I want to do. Thank you.